Good morning, colleagues of the Naabik'Iyati committee. The roll call is open right now on the floor, so if you do come in, press your roll call button. Good morning, colleagues. If you're finding your way into the chambers, you can press your roll call button. Good morning, colleagues. Yate, do adeta isnat gilto. Colleagues, if you did enter the chambers, please press your roll call button. Good morning, colleagues. We do have quorum by two committee rule. Nana di Kagi Yahanane Jegi for Naabik'Iyati Committee of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. This is a special meeting due to an earlier time of our meeting at 8 a.m. So we do have this blocked off to 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Do proposed agenda in Hidasltos do Gachin Bahato Jish. We will call Naabik'Iyati Committee at 8:21 a.m. For the record, we do have 13 members of the Naabik'Iyati Committee. Aro kudo shana hika deal with Delegate Simpson to do invocation for us this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Naabik'Iyati Committee, guests who are here, staff. Good morning. I believe everybody said their prayers this morning, and let's go ahead and do a little prayer here. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful morning. Thank you for the moisture that we've been receiving. Thank you for all the blessing you have bestowed on us here. We ask you, Father, we ask you to guide us today to make the right decision for our Navajo people. What's going to go before us today as a committee of Naabik'Iyati. Father, be with our loved ones. Thank you for letting us travel safely here today. And as we complete our meeting today, that we travel safe home to our loved ones. And again, Father, just be with us. Be with our leaders from the chapter level to the federal level. Just be with our leaders. Give them guidance and wisdom to make the right decision for our U.S. citizens. Again, Father, we ask you to be with our active soldiers fighting for our freedom each day. To be with their family also. And also, we want to say thank you to our veterans for serving for our freedom that we have today. Again, Father, we ask you just to be with us each and every day. In your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Honorable Simpson for invocation this morning. Recognizing guests and visiting officials, we do have 2 minutes per delegate. Colleagues, I don't see anyone in queue, so Kudo Shiaj, Honorable Rikines.
Thank you, Speaker. Arashanand Adnothenegi, 25th Nomination Council. I just would like to do a shout out to Navajo Technical University, Crown Point. They have different locations throughout the Navajo Nation, including Zuni. Myself and Dr. Andy Nez were at Bon Wilson over in Kirtland last week, and they did a lot of the enrollment presentations over there. So we met a lot of the staff, and they invited us to come out to Crown Point sometime. So perhaps we could have Naabik'Iyati out at Crown Point sometime. So those staff were just very respectful, very knowledgeable too. So just want to recognize them over there at Navajo Technical University. Thank you. Back to you, Speaker.
Thank you, for that recognition this morning. Recognizing guests and visiting officials. Then go in on review and adopt the agenda. Staff, could you help us read the proposed agenda into the record, please?
Good morning, delegates, staff, participating audience. This is the proposed agenda of the Naabik'Iyati Committee of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. This is a special meeting held in Window Rock, Navajo Nation. Today's date is Thursday, August 10, 2023, 8:00 a.m. Presiding Chair, Honorable Crystalline Curley, Speaker, 25th Navajo Nation Council. 1, call meeting to order, roll call, invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals. There are none. 5, receiving reports. None. 6, old business. None. 7, new business. A, legislation 0159-23. B, legislation 0158-23. C, legislation 0189-23. And D, legislation 0192-23. 8, close a meeting, announcements and adjournment. Madam Speaker.
Staff shade agenda and kind kaiki. Motion osleta. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Chair Jesus. Vice Chair Johnson. Comments, questions on the main motion of adopting our agenda? Second call. Kwaigisha Shiaj, Honorable Rikinez.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker Curley, honorable members of the 25th Nomination Council's Naabik'Iyati Committee. I would like to make a motion for Amendment 1 to create a consent agenda for the legislations that we have for ARPA, which would be legislation 0159-23. The sponsor is Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Legislation 0158-23, sponsor Honorable Jermaine Simonson. And legislation 0192-23, which I am the sponsor of that legislation. I'd like to create that consent agenda for the three legislations. Thank you. Back to you, Speaker.
Goshi Shiaj, we do have a second by Vice Chair Johnson. Colleagues, the proposed consent agenda is on the board here. So that'll be legislation number 7, new business A, B, and D. Any comments on the consent agenda? We have Honorable Arvizo.
Madam Speaker, good morning. Good morning, my colleagues of the 25th Navajo Nation Council, Yat Epene. Madam Speaker, I respect my colleague's motion for a consent agenda, Delegate Nez. However, 15923, I ask that be taken off the consent. I have amendment to put on that one. A.
What you can do is have the amendment at council if you want to.
Okay. All right. Can we have the amendment at council? Then we will do that, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Delegate Nez.
Goshi Delegate Arvizo for that comment. That amendment will be considered until the full council. There is a consent agenda motion on the floor for A, B, and D. Second call. Third call, go to a vote on amendment number 1 for the agenda. We have less than 1 minute on the board. For the record, we do have 3 excused absences. We do have Chair Eugenia Charles Newton, Honorable Herman Daniels, and also Vice Chair Carl Slater. Fifteen more seconds. We do have the full vote from the floor. We do have a vote of 15 in favor and 0 opposed, with chair not voting. Thank you, colleagues. We are back on the main motion of our agenda. Are there any deletions, additions? Second call? Third call? Staff, could you do our second reading before we go to the voting board?
Amendment number 1 is a consent agenda for legislation 0159-23, legislation 0158-23, and legislation 0192-23. Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Shade, kodo njino gona kanani iltka. Do kwai gishin bandit dija. We will go to a vote, 2 minutes on the board to adopt our agenda. Less than 30 seconds, colleagues. Honorable Damon. All right, we have the timer ran out on the voting board. We do have 14 in favor, 0 opposed, with chair not voting. And we do, for the record, have 3 excused absences. Colleagues, for adopting our agenda for this morning. Next, we have number 4. On the floor, we have Delegate Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of Naabik'Iyati. Madam Chair, I didn't realize one of my legislation here that I'm sponsoring met the 5-day comment period. And I believe I'd like to make an amendment to Naabik'Iyati, the agenda here today. And it's legislation, I believe, it's legislation 1, brother, Casey. I can't get it. Hold on, Madam Chair, it's 196. Yeah, I'd like to add legislation 196023. It's in reference to delegate region where the Nabi will have the final approval. It's just amending the legislation was approved in reference to the ARPA funds. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Simpson. We're having staff double check that for you first.
Also, I'd like to modify my amendment to add legislation 195-23. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, sure. I think we voted on the consent. I think we voted on that consent. I thought we voted on that. No, I thought we voted on it. I think we voted on it. Did amendment to the agenda, did it? Amendment to the agenda. Okay. Madam Chair, while staff's looking for those two legislation, we can probably move forward and is it possible to come back to me to make that amendment? And vote on the consent agenda?
Thank you, Honorable Simpson. Legislation 0196-23 could be added. But unfortunately, we would have to wait for 0195-23 because it's relating to the budget. So if I'm correct, you want to move forward and then add it on till later, or, but legislation 0196-23 is ready.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'll go and take your advice. Just go ahead and move forward, offer my amendment to add legislation 0195-23. I make that motion, Madam Chair.
It would be 0196.
666.
Colleagues, let me have our staff read that legislation into the record before I recognize a second.
Legislation 0196-23, an action relating to the Naabik'Iyati Committee and the Navajo Nation Council, amending Council Resolution CJY-41-21 and CJN-29-22, delegating the Naabik'Iyati Committee as the final approval authority for delegate region project plans funded through the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Funds. Sponsor is Honorable Danny Simpson. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, staff, for reading that legislation to the record. We do have a second by Dr. Andy Nez. Colleagues, do we have any questions or comments on the floor? That would be, if it does pass, it would be item new C. Second call. Third call. Colleagues, would just take a majority vote. Go to the board for 2 minutes. Less than 50 seconds on the board, colleagues. Time expired on the clock. We do have a vote of 15 in favor, 0 opposed, with chair not voting. And colleagues, we will get that printed out and then sent through email, the new agenda. Honorable Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Just like to say good morning to all my honorable colleagues. Thank you for being here with us today. Also the legislative staff as well. I'd like to go to make a motion to add legislation 19623 to the consent agenda. Thank you.
Vice Chair Johnson, if you could modify your motion to do a suspension of floor rules to add legislation 0196-23 to consent agenda. I think that would be the appropriate way for the record.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to go to the suspend floor rules. I'd like to add 196-23 to the consent agenda.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson. Do we have a second? Second by Honorable Shauna Ann Tlaw. Colleagues, do we have any objections to this motion that is currently on the floor? And I'll see none. Second call. Third call, going to the voting board for 2 minutes. We have less than 20 seconds on the board, colleagues. Delegate Crotty? Time did expire on the board. Honorable Crotty votes green. And for the record, we do have 3 absences. Chair Eugenia Charles Newton, Honorable Daniels, Vice Chair Slater. Honorable Crotty votes red. For the record. Thank you, colleagues. We do have a vote of 14 in favor, 1 opposed, and chair not voting. Thank you, colleagues. We will continue to move forward. We do have number 4, review and adopt the journals. We have none. Number 5, receiving reports, none, just due to the time constraints that we have today. I know majority of the committees, standing committees are doing their budgets throughout, starting at 10. So we will go forward with adding reports until the next Naabik'Iyati committee meeting, or once all the budgets are prioritized and goes forward to Nabi and council. If you do want written, you can make also that request as well. Colleagues, we are down to number 6, old business, none. And we are on number 7, new business. We do have a consent agenda. Staff, could you help us read consent agenda to the record?
Consent agenda, legislation 0159-23, an action relating to Naabik'Iyati Committee and the Navajo Nation Council, amending CMY-39-23 and CAP-11-23, the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Stephen R. Arvizo's Delegate Region. Chapters include Church Rock, Ayambato, Mariano Lake, Pinedale, Smith Lake, Theroux, to include additional projects for this delegate region. The sponsor is Honorable Stephen R. Arvizo. Legislation 0158-23, an action relating to the Naabik'Iyati Committee and Navajo Nation Council, amending CAP-15-23, the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Jermaine Simonson's Delegate Region. Chapters include Hard Rock, Forest Lake, Pinion, Black Mesa, and Whippoorwill. Sponsor is Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Legislation 0192-23, an action relating to the Naabik'Iyati Committee and the Navajo Nation Council, approving the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Ricky Nez's Delegate Region. Chapters include East Sakad, Ninahanzad, Upper Fruitland, Tediscan, Newcomb, San Juan. Sponsor is Honorable Ricky Nez. Legislation 0196-23, an action relating to the Naabik'Iyati Committee and Navajo Nation Council, amending Council Resolutions CJY-41-22 and CJN-29-22, delegating the Naabik'Iyati Committee as the final approval authority for delegate region project plans funded through the Navajo Nation's fiscal recovery funds. Sponsor is Honorable Danny Simpson. Madam Speaker, that is the consent agenda legislations.
Thank you, staff, for reading our consent agenda into the record. Colleagues, we will entertain a motion. Is there a motion on the floor? Motion by Honorable Ricky Nez. Do we have a second? Second by Honorable Nathan Nota. Colleagues, consent agenda goes straight to a vote. We have 2 minutes on the board. Less than 50 seconds on the board, colleagues. We do have a green vote by Honorable Damon. Time is out on the voting board. Colleagues, we do have a vote of 15 in favor, 0 opposed, with chair not voting on the consent agenda. Next, we do have legislation 0189-23. I am the prime sponsor. If I can have, let's see, one of our chairs or vice chairs, if you could help me out or volunteer from the floor to be pro temp chair. Chiaj, Honorable Nez. I thought that Sean.
Nice show. Yate Hipena, Shanantai Noxlenegi, honorable members of the 25th Nomination Council Naabik'Iyati Committee, Aro Ekehe Koro Dida Naabik'Iyati Saad Betan Hadit Ahibe Lada Seat Lido Karena Snana Nle legislation 0189-23, an action relating to Naabik'Iyati Committee rescinding number GSCF-2-92 and approving Oversight Committee budget meeting procedures. Sponsor, Honorable Speaker Crystalline Curley. Co-sponsor, Honorable Casey Allen Johnson. Staff, could you please read this into the record, please?
Legislation 0189-23, an action relating to the Naabik'Iyati Committee rescinding number GSCF-2-92 and approving Oversight Committee budget meeting procedures. Sponsor is Honorable Crystalline Curley. Co-sponsor is Honorable Casey Allen Johnson. This legislation, final authority rests with Naabik'Iyati Committee. Per Navajo Nation Council Standing Rules of, per Navajo Nation Standing Rules of Order, this legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording according to Rule 9. Pro Temp Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook, for that. Honorable members of the 25th Navajo Nation Council's Naabik'Iyati Committee would like to have a motion. Honorable Shauna Claw, second by Honorable Brenda Jesus, Chair Jesus. Now, Honorable Speaker Crystal and Curley, you have 20 minutes for your presentation at this time.
Oh, yeah, Nana. Thank you, Pro Temp Chair, Honorable Ricky Inez, for volunteering to help chair the Naabik'Iyati Committee meeting. Do ya Nana, dent pesh pada sa anad ni kliniki. Do DA sa began adit ahi 0189-23 in kitasel tos do DA jo be ahozen do be na on nishiki it. We are in budget session right now within the 25th Navajo Nation Council, and many of our standing committees are also having their budget meetings. And I know that one standard procedure is to adopt and approve our oversight committee budget meeting procedures. So we do have 2 exhibits that are on here. We do have exhibit number 1, which will be replaced. That is rescinding it, and then we will be adopting exhibit number 2. It's titled Oversight Committee Special Budget Meetings Procedure, FY 2024 Budget Program Budgets. So these are just standard procedures that we do as within the committee. So this will only relate to Naabik'Iyati Committee budget meeting procedures. I know individual standing committees will be adopting and approving their own procedures within their oversight programs as well on how they will be conducting their own budget proceedings. Jo obe ahozendo hashita kwaagi nikina nishina that the nitiki it's and there were some types of discussions for number 3, where it does state that budget meetings shall be posted for a duration of 5 consecutive work days. I guess in the past there was some precedents that was reduced down to 1, but I do leave that discretion up to the body here this afternoon or this morning. And it is numbered, it is with a 1-pager, it's front and back, and it does have 15 steps. So just to move forward with our budget, and we are still within that schedule of going into our budget session during the Navajo Nation Fair Week. So colleagues, so we just appreciate your support. Pro Temp Chair, we return the floor back over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker Curley, for your presentation. Honorable members of the Naabik'Iyati Committee, are there any comments or questions? I don't see anybody in the queue. Honorable George Tolth, I see you raised your hand, sir. Honorable Tolth, I apologize, but the first in the queue was Honorable Parrish, Honorable Chair Parrish. So we'll go back to Chair Parrish, and then if you could go get some coffee for yourself, Honorable George Tolth. Okay, you have the floor, Honorable Chair Parrish.
Honorable Speaker Pro Tem, or Chair Pro Tem of Naabik'Iyati Committee, Delegate Ricky Inez, for recognizing me this morning. Good morning to my colleagues on the 25th Navajo Nation Council. Good morning to everyone who's listening on the call and online. I believe my question is in the presentation the speaker had just provided to the Naabik'Iyati Council. I just wanted to know, for clarification, I think the speaker had mentioned that this is the oversight for the Naabik'Iyati, the rules for the oversight for Naabik'Iyati. So, to my understanding, this is the adoption of the oversight rules for all the committees of the council. Is that, I just wanted to know if there was a distinction between the different, or if there was a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Parrish, for your concerns and questions. So I'll give the time over to our Chief Legislative Counsel, Ms. Bobroff, to respond.
Good morning, Naabik'Iyati Committee and Chairwoman Parrish. The Oversight Committee special budget procedures that are in front of you, each committee will adopt them. So these are just for NABI. They are the same as that has been adopted by the Budget and Finance Committee and the Resources and Development Committee. They've each adopted these rules. Law and Order and Hess will have those on their agendas forthcoming. Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Bobroff, for your response. Chair Parrish, are you satisfied with the response? Thank you. We'll go now to Honorable George Tolth.
Good morning, Mr. Nance, Honorable Nance, the co-chair Amy, the Naabik'Iyati Committee. I was looking at this one, same issue that our Budget and Finance Chair. This should have been approved a long time ago before. So are we going backwards and approving just like at the last minute we did our Budget and Finance, I'm not budget, committee members, committee's policy at the last hour. We're trying to get it approved, so I hope it doesn't happen next year. Everything should be planned out ahead, even with to have a special session. So we had a problem with the HASI rules procedure at the last minute, and I'm glad that Honorable Naz had signed it and you went through. So so I hope it doesn't happen again next time. We should always plan ahead. Amat Hatsuhota approved Alian Jando Lisico. Genobic e Catholic so. A credition is only this is Lolo ceremonial. The Sheik he dodged event. Dan Hannis, that is no Arsenal Solonde, so I'm glad I'm here today. Thank you, Chair.
Kushila Aro, is all behind Honorable George Tolth. I'll give some time back over to the Honorable Speaker Crystal and Curley. Your response?
Koshi Hiha Ado Adet Pro Temp Chair Honorable Nez Do Kodosha Che 19 Kidiki Di Kwaigi Sabegana Dit Ahin Hitasel Toziki AI Da Elsaheki Elsaid Kwaigi Bella Ado Le Eda Di Need a Co A Kwaigi Timeline Kwaigi by Hainsi Iki A Akota Jo Ato Naabik'Iyati budget meeting Ato Eleta Nile next week Tuesday in the bahatol jish kwaigi to calendar kwaigi in email adalia to ako. So I believe we are and within the timeline of passing this resolution. Ako.
Thank you for your response, Honorable Speaker Curley. Ado Shanant Ano Tliniki. Are there, I don't see anybody in the queue. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Shanant Ano Tliniki, on this legislation 0189-23, Ms. Bobroff, on page 2, line number 9, where it says fiscal year 2023, and then the oversight is misspelled. I understand this to be a typo. Will that be corrected administratively, or does it require an amendment?
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem Nez. Line 9 on page 2, there, excuse me, there is a technical amendment that the Office of Legislative Services and Office of Legislative Counsel will address before the legislation is finalized, and that is on line 9. Line 9 should say fiscal year 2024 instead of 2023, and also oversight is spelled incorrectly. So those will be technical amendments that will be taken care of administratively. Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bobroff. Honorable members of the Naabik'Iyati Committee, this legislation that is before us, the Naabik'Iyati Committee has final approval. I don't see anybody in the queue, so I'm going to go ask for anyone else that would like to comment or questions. Going twice. Going 3 times. Staff, let's put this to a vote, please. Honorable Speaker Damon, how do you vote, sir? Honorable Speaker Damon votes green. Vice Chair Yazzie. We have 28 seconds left on the board. Time expired. Shenandoah Thenegi, legislation 0189-23 has a vote of 15 in favor, 0 opposed. Pro Tem Chair not voting. Motion carries. Thank you. I'll hand the gavel back over to our Honorable Speaker, Chair Curley. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit up here.
Natural.
Honorable Nez, Koto Shikain Luadiki, do Hehe Ade, Beshpada Sani, Dane Kliniki, Hehe Shaka of Jetlo. Do Kwaigishi Anashit Nahol Jistolel. We don't have any other legislation on our agenda. We will go to number 8, close of meeting, announcements, and adjournment. I would like to start off with the announcement of introducing our new security detail that is currently on campus within this past week. We do have Miss Perry in the back, and so make sure to introduce yourself, and she'll be making her rounds here on the campus. And also, if you did notice her during your committee meetings throughout this past week or on campus, so don't get spooked. So we did implement that security detail on the campus, so colleagues. And also, hopefully all of you will be joining us during the ceremonial night parade this evening. It is our cultural attire, and we do invite all of our colleagues and our LDAs and our staff. So please reach out to Sanlatsa Jim within the speaker's office if you would like to participate. And also on Saturday morning, feel free to meet up at the startup line downtown Gallup. So that is the 101 intertribal ceremonial celebration this weekend. Colleagues, are there any other announcement that's coming from the floor? Shiche, Honorable Tolt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a little problems here last summer session. The identification for the council, I believe we need some type of a pass to come through the line. Are we going to have that option? A lot of times they'll block you off, or even walking through. Thank you.
We are doing a listing. We will send out notification through email for those accommodations. Are there any other announcements on the floor, colleagues? Also, as an announcement, colleagues, we did have been receiving invitations back and forth with the U.S. Navy for the USNS Navajo ship. As you all know, it was rescheduled, and then it was rescheduled back to August 26th. That is a Saturday, and that is during the same time of Central Agency Fair. Our contact within the Speaker's office is our Deputy Chief of Staff, Jared Tutchin, and we will be sending out that notification as well on the invitation details, just for save the date or just for your records. Although we will be dropping legislation today for the Speaker's office's plans of operations today too as well, so that will be forthcoming. Just for a few short announcements, but all of these announcements will be sent out through email. Honorable Toll.
Madam Chair, just to inform the Navajo Nation Council, 25th Navajo Nation, the Eastern Navajo Land Commission commissioner is going to sponsor an orientation to the council. I believe 21 and 22, the location is still pending. And this is to inform the rest of the council what the goals and objective in regards to land commissioner. We have a lot of issues that we ask this body to support us. So the man in charge is our Seth Damon, our former speaker, Edishin. Been Nacha Ahns, and so along with Leonard Sosi, is the director for Land Commission Office. So I believe there's one in Twin Arrow and one here somewhere. So we'll email you. So thank you.
For that announcement and recognition. Colleagues, we also did receive an invitation to the Eastern Navajo Agency Council special meeting. It is scheduled Friday, tomorrow, August 11th at 9 a.m., and it will be hosted at Crown Point Chapter House. It is an in-person invite. Colleagues, I don't see anybody else in queue. Second call, third call. Can we get a motion for adjournment? A motion by Chair Jesus, second by Honorable Arvizo. And I'll see no objections, and we will go to the board to vote on adjournment. Colleagues, my Northern Agency Council delegates, there's a request from our legal counsel, Ms. Bobroff, if she could meet with you briefly following the Naabik'Iyati committee meeting on a critical issue. So our Northern Council delegates, feel free to meet with Ms. Bobroff after the meeting. Colleagues, less than 40 seconds on the board. Colleagues, we do have a vote of 14 in favor, 0 opposed, with chair not voting. Colleagues, we do adjourn at 9:20 a.m. I'll also like to announce there is a meeting today with New Mexico Indian Affairs Committee. It is at the Student Services and Technology Center, room 200 at UNM Gallup today. So if you do that notification, we can forward that as well. That is happening today as well, colleagues. Thank you, and we will all see you at your budget meetings.